I have long wanted to taste cod in parsley sauce, a kitschy relic of 1970s, 80s British school lunches, or school dinners, as the Brits would say, even though they mean lunch. This dish is not remembered fondly by all who grew up with it, but I think it looks kind of beautiful, so I'm intrigued. I'll make it the real simple way that I saw Marco Pierre White make it years ago, and then I'll try to fancy it up just a little and see which I prefer. Here's a big handful of parsley. I normally prefer the flat leaf kind, but you gotta have the curly if you want that classic garnish on the side. If you bunch it up tight, it's easier to chop, and I'll chop it quite fine so that it really greens up the whole sauce. Also, curly parsley can be a little fibrous, so get it small like that. Here's my cod fillet, and I think the thicker pieces like this one will work a little better for this poached method we're starting with. Let me get a cup or so of dairy, of which like 2/3 will be milk, and then the rest will be cream. Without any cheese or wine or anything, I think a plain bechamel sauce like this needs at least some cream with the milk, or else it just doesn't taste like much. If you're only making 1 or 2 fillets like I am, you're going to want a narrow pot or pan, just so you can get the fish mostly submerged in a little sauce. For a cup of liquid, I reckon we'll need 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter for the roux. Melt it gently over low heat. Any browning will throw off the color and overwhelm the mild flavors of this dish. Heat is still low. I'll whisk in enough flour to make a thick paste, and I'll let it cook very gently for a few minutes, for flavor reasons. When it's ready, it starts to smell kind of nice, but you shouldn't see the color change much at all. Blonde roux. Now we can start whisking in our dairy a little at a time. If you dumped it all in at once, lumps of roux would just slosh around in there and you wouldn't be able to whisk them out. Once I've got it smooth again, more liquid, and repeat. Turn up the heat a little and it'll fully thicken once it just starts to simmer. 2 tablespoons of butter would have been plenty. This is too thick, but hey, when in doubt, go thick, because you can always thin it out with more milk. Get it to the final texture you want. That's medium-high thick, which is what I want. Marco, of course, flavored this with a concentrated stock product. You know which brand, not this one. Half a dry cube would work instead. Fish or chicken flavor, but fish cooked in a little chicken stock is really good, and it's nice for people who are a little on the fence about marine flavors. Give that a taste, and yeah, the stock concentrate had all the salt this dish is going to need. Get it a little too salty because it has to season the fish as well as itself. In goes the cod fillet, which honestly could have been frozen solid. It'd just take a little longer to cook. I guess the infamous 70s version of this dish used boil-in-the-bag cod, but Marco poached the fish right in the sauce, which I think shows it a little more respect. You hold the sauce at a bare simmer and turn the fish around a couple of times or baste the sauce over it, and you basically cannot overcook it. It could sit in this sauce for hours, which would have been very useful for cafeteria service. This is enough sauce for like 4 fillets, by the way. I'm just doing the one for demonstration purposes. It's a sin to waste any food, but especially wild-caught fish from Wild Alaskan Company, sponsor of this video. It's really hard to know if the seafood you're buying is good or if it's as sustainable as possible. With Wild Alaskan Company, every box you buy supports U.S. fishing communities and good harvesting practices. Even that starchy packing material just melts away. Recycle everything else. You can see right where every fish comes from. It's all wild caught from healthy oceans, flash frozen right off the boat, which is the best way to buy fish these days, unless you're getting it on a dock. Ooh, sockeye and coho salmon. I love tasting the different kinds. Pacific halibut, really meaty whitefish, and here's our Pacific cod. I'll speed thaw it in a bowl of cool water. Great protein here, lots of omega-3s, and if you don't love your first box, they'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/Ragusia for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/Ragusia for $35 off your first order. Thanks to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring. Okay, how do you know when the cod is done? You should see it starting to flake. I can stick my finger in there. I feel the flakes easily pushing apart. It's hot in the center. together, this is done. But if you're unsure, 135 Fahrenheit internal temp is a good compromise, 57°C. The health authorities would say 145 Fahrenheit, 63°C, if you need to be very safe. After like 7 minutes, I'll take this directly out to my serving dish. Now I can stir in the parsley and make any sauce adjustments without tearing up the fish. That tastes great, but I think I could have done with even more parsley. Plenty of sauce to coat every bite, and this is what makes it fancy, don't you know? The bites should flake off easily, and I think that's delicious with only a hint of irony. That sauce is so velvety, and it really merges with the fish when you cook them together. Really nice. But let's do a maybe more restaurant-y version of it. Here's half an onion that I have left over. I'll slice it very thin, and I'll only need half of this. Same with this bulb of fennel that I'm using. Not traditional, but it's going to be good. Save the fronds. Take some thin slices off of the bulb, throw those into a pot, and I'll give them a full cup, 237 mils of plain milk. Bring that up to a gentle simmer, no cream yet because it might curdle if you cook it too much. For a side, I'll get some tiny potatoes boiling. They should be tender just in time. And keeping with the 70s vibe, I'm going to have little carrot slices with my peas. Just hold those for a sec. Tear off a bunch of those fennel fronds, and I'll chop those fine with my handful of parsley. After a few minutes, those vegetables are tender enough to eat, so I'll strain that aromatic-infused milk into a jug and reserve those slices. I might microwave those right before I eat. Only 2 tablespoons of butter this time. That'll make plenty enough roux. Enough flour to make a paste. Whisk and cook for a few minutes, and then start whisking in the infused milk as before. Now it's very safe to add in some cream, which I'll just eyeball. Again, this is enough sauce for a few portions. When the potatoes seem about halfway done, I'll boil my carrots with them just for convenience. For the sauce, I still like the chicken stock concentrate from before, maybe a little less, and I'll put in some coarse mustard, and I would do some white pepper if I had any. Horseradish would be nice. Turn the heat up, get it starting to bubble so it fully thickens. When the texture is perfect, I'll set this aside to keep warm. These little potatoes are fork tender now. I'm just going to fish them out one by one straight to the serving dish. Those should stay hot until I eat, and I'll give them a little extra salt, but they don't need any butter or anything. Time to do the fish. I think a thinner piece will work a little bit better for pan frying, and I'll do it in a non-stick just to be extra safe. Fish is delicate, it sticks, it tears. While the pan is heating, I'll season the fish with extra on the plate for the underside, pepper and salt, and then dust with flour, or I think cornstarch works a little better, less gummy. This will make a nice brown crust, assuming your oil is hot enough to shimmer. Pretty side down first, and I'll cook it most of the way on this side to get nice gentle browning. When it's blonde under there, I'll flip. I can get my frozen peas boiling in this same water. Parsley and fennel in the sauce near the end just to keep them green. I have this on a low flame, just warming. After like 6 minutes, the cod is starting to flake. There's lots of juice pushing up to the surface from the center. This is going to be medium, like I like it, but you cook it longer if you need to. I'll let it finish in the residual heat of the pan. Peas go back on the big burner there until they float. All right, I've reheated my onion and fennel slices. They will be a tasty bed for my fish. That's a very restaurant-y trick. Gives the protein a little height. Strain those peas and carrots. Peas and carrots, that's what you say over and over if you're a background actor to make it look like you're talking. Pour that bechamel sauce over the fish and let it flood the plate a little because it is great with the fish, it's great on the potatoes, great on the peas. I think if I make this again for myself, I'll do the fancier version but still poach the fish in the sauce rather than frying it off. The poaching tastes nice and it's way easier. Honestly, this works as like baby's first fish dish. If you're new to cooking fish or new to eating fish, this is really approachable. Tastes as much of the land as it does of the sea, though try serving it for school lunch in the US. I just dare you.